DTT Bros, take one.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of DTT. I'm your host Mustafa. You got Ish on one side of me and Gigs on the other side. Where we left off, I wanted to talk to you guys about something. Usually, we as humans, we are like grateful to a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
But our gratefulness usually comes when we are on the low rather than on the highs.
Ooh.
Do you want to say something about it, Ish, to start us
Well,
off?
I can get us started off. So earlier today, we were having a conversation about why we tend to be grateful in bad times, but not in the good times.
Okay.
You know, and I said it was probably something about us being blinded by things going well.
Okay.
You know, we take it for granted because you know the saying about how you appreciate health when you're sick, you appreciate
Rich when you're poor.
when you're poor.
Yeah.
But why isn't it that we appreciate health when we're
Healthy.
or appreciate the richness when we're rich? Why is it that we have to go down in life in order to start appreciating those things?
I think it's a thing where like we just take it for granted. Like for example, if you're healthy, you have nothing to worry about. So in your mind, you're not like grateful for it because you're like, oh, I'm healthy, so I don't have to worry about not being healthy. But then when you're unhealthy, you're like, oh my god. When is it like today, you know? And then you have to, you know, like go to the doctor or whatever and then pray to God. It's like a thing of like my mom used to tell me, she's like, you know, and everybody passes, people say that in church, it's like, you don't always have to wait until something is wrong in your life to pray to God or like to have a conversation with God. You could wake up one day and be like, you know what? God, I'm good, I'm healthy, everything is good, so I'm thankful. And you can be thankful for that, but I don't know, I think it's just human nature. We get like complacent or like...
I don't know, because when you really look at it, how many times do we have to get sick in order to appreciate that health? You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
How I see it is usually when you're on high, like the high life, life is moving fast. You don't really take time
Yeah.
to think about what's happening to you. But when you're in the dark times, when life is moving slower, you're always taking more time off to just be like, think about your situation at that point in time. And I think being able to take have a conscious effort where you are being grateful whenever you are getting a blessing, or whether your life is blessed, or whether you are at that time being comfortable with how life is how we should act.
Right.
Potentially, Interesting.
Do you think?
Okay, go ahead.
Do you think there's the opposite, where you find yourself more grateful when you are
Not feeling well?
more comfortable than when
Things
you
going
are?
well. No, because, you know, as Muslims, we're taught that the more we're grateful, the more we get, you know? And personally for me, now this is me speaking from an Islamic perspective, but I was taught to make dua or prayer about being grateful for things. So if you have something, to make dua to Allah or God to be more grateful for that thing that you have. So the way that I look at it is I want to be grateful during my good times, so that even when the bad time comes, it's something that just naturally happens. And the thing is, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but even by default, if you are grateful in your good times, you seemingly get more and you appreciate more as well. It doesn't even have to be the biggest things like, you know, getting a car or a phone or anything, but it's the little things. No, keep down the little come on. They know now.
They don't know nothing. They just heard something.
Sure. Anyways, but yeah, it's not even about the big things, but it's about the small things. About maybe you see somebody's having a cold one day, and then you're like, you know what? Thank goodness I don't have that, because I know how that feels. Or you see somebody, you know, who's a little bit less fortunate than you are. Those moments are where you should be, maybe sometimes even outwardly saying, I'm grateful for such a thing. What do you guys think about that? Wouldn't that be a way to be more aware of it? Because perhaps the issue is we're not aware.
Right? Maybe. It's a thing of like, I understand that. Like, I see what you're saying and I agree. Like, you know, we should be grateful. Like, for example, every day you wake up, you should be like, God, I'm so thankful because
I'm awake.
I'm awake because there was somebody somewhere that, you know, maybe wanted to be alive that day or wanted to be awake that day, and unfortunately, you know, they weren't. And it's not that you're more righteous or more better than that person. It just happens that, you know, I don't want to say more lucky, but you were just
Interesting.
given it that day by God. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think you should always be grateful. Always try your best to be grateful. You know, you can have a full belly, be grateful. Empty belly, be grateful, because in an instant it can be gone, or situations can be reversed. You know.
Yeah.
So,
We talked about times where you should be grateful. How do you become grateful, or how do you be grateful in your daily life? How do you help yourself get into a routine where you're always finding yourself being more grateful? Is it more just like having, that conscious effort to always, whenever you see something or something happens to you, you're always thanking yourself or thanking God before you actually enjoy it, whatever it might be.
I know what you're saying.
Well, there's like food, if you get your food on the table, you should be like, oh, thank God I have the food, and then you maybe start eating. Or is it more like you go a step ahead or forward more, where you're, like
actively trying.
praying or, giving back? Or
Well, the thing is, right, I think by default we tend to live very, I don't want to use a big word like vicariously.
Oh, I was thinking just that. Man.
Right?
I was
We
thinking
live very vicariously, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, we take so much for granted, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is, even talks like this, we're talking about being grateful. What's gonna happen in a few hours from now? Naturally, it's natural. I'm not saying this is to, frame us or make us into bad people, but naturally, we're gonna go out of here. Next few hours, we're complaining about A, B, C, D, when we're just talking about how we should be grateful for X, Y, and Z.
We're not perfect.
We're not perfect at all. I know we're not. But what we're saying is, but what we're saying is, it's good to be, I think, aware.
Yeah.
It's good to be conscious. It's good to get out of your head sometimes as well,
Yes.
because most of the problems are caused by us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I heard somewhere that many of the problems that we have in life are those that we create, but they're not actual real problems. But if you think about it that way and you live, I think, in a present way, then yeah, I think you'll be more grateful than anything.
To be present is key.
Present is key.
That's what I would say.
And okay, people always, there's problems in life. Everyone has a down and everyone has the ups. And yes, sometimes you find yourself struggling a lot. Do you guys have any points, advice onto how to combat the problems that you find in your daily life?
Yes.
Gigs?
Yeah, I do. Guys, it's a simple.
Is this-
It's not simple, but it's a simple thing, but it's not simple.
Okay.
It's a thing of,
It's very simple.
you know who I got this from? Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen that movie.
Okay.
So there was this YouTube video where they're all in a round table, a bunch of actors and everything. Someone asked him, how do you go through, like life when, like, let's say for example, you're finding difficulty to like book a gig, or like your podcast isn't taking off as you wanted to, or your YouTube video or work or whatever is, or school or whatever it is that you have is going on isn't going the way you want it to. And he just told the person, he was like, you always have to remind yourself that this too shall pass. So if you're in a good time, this too shall pass. If you're in a bad time, this too shall pass. So just don't, like, obviously it's difficult, like, it's more like difficult to do than to say, right? Because in the moment where you're like going through something, you're like, oh my God, I'm stressing about whatever this is. Okay, I don't have enough for whatever money and for this, or oh, I have too much money for this. Different people, different problems, but you just have to remember that no condition is permanent. So just don't put yourself too much into it and like give yourself headaches or give yourself things that then now you're having heart problems or all of that. So this too shall pass.
And I think a great way to, especially if you have a lot of blessings coming, I think charity is something that shows how grateful you are when you are on a high, because you're able to say, okay, I do have this. Maybe it's money, maybe it's food, whatever it might be, is clothes. If I'm able to give it to other people, I'm not attached to it. There is a level of you can have something between you and whatever it might be, where you're not always looking for it, you're not always holding on to it, like like we tend to find ourselves. But if you are willing to give it, especially money in this case, if you are willing to give it to other people, where other people can actually find good in it from it, it's a way to disattach yourself from whatever the blessing might be.
Alright, so let's go in a different direction now.
Alright.
One
What
direction.
about
Different direction ish.
What direction? One direction, two direction, 3D.
okay, so we're talking about gratitude, right?
Yes.
How big does ego have to do with that? Because you know how people become big shots sometimes and they forget where they came from and they think they're all that. What do you guys think about that? Wouldn't you think ego can also be something that keeps someone from being grateful?
Sorry.
Because we humans can be very egotistical.
I was gonna say, okay, obviously there are some cases where some people tend to forget where they come from, but I think it's a thing of when it comes to like success and all of that. I think is the more you elevate yourself, right? If the group or people or whatever the surroundings that you're in, right? If you don't elevate the surroundings at the same time, like you tend to feel out of place. Like for example, if someone is working towards being a billionaire, no offense, but other day you can hang out with someone that's a thousandaire or makes like
Thousandaire.
I'm just saying, like
What am I? Centenaire? Dollar-naire.
like a centenaire, you know? Like, you know, you have to hang out with like like-minded people, and when you do that, like I think people from like when you were coming up may see it as, oh, he's changing on us, he's turning bougie or whatever. I don't think it's that. I think it's a thing of, yo, if I'm elevating, you can either choose to come along with me, or you could stay there in the place that we were before and be like, oh, you're changing. So, but
Interesting. So you think they're hating? So you don't think it's an ego issue?
no, some people do have ego issues. Don't get it twisted. But some also are haters. And like Taylor Swift said, haters are gonna hate. You just gotta shake, shake, shake.
I don't think they're shaking this. All right, guys. So, I think what you're talking about is more. Look, there's some people who have goals in life, right?
Yeah.
I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be the best I can be,
Right.
and that goes back to us as humans wanting more.
Okay.
You know, and the wanting more, I feel like comes from not being grateful with what you already have.
Right.
You know, we've talked about this before.
Content.
Give someone a valley of gold, and they'd want another valley.
Right.
And you know, if you're not grateful with what you already have, you're always gonna chase more. You know, you got billionaires right now who are just want more. You know, Elon Musk wants to go to the moon now. You know, Jeff Bezos is following. It's like these guys are already the richest people in the world. If they want other markets that no one else has even tapped into, where they can actually just quadruple their money in, like, you know. And yeah, just having that, you know, level of contentment with what you have is
Interesting.
is how to fight the ego in you.
Is that ego or is that greed? What do you
It's-
guys think?
it's-
What do you guys? Or is it, you think it's a mix of both?
I think you wouldn't say Elon is greedy because, or whoever that like billionaire is greedy because it's not more the attachment of money. It's more the
Things have never been
the
done.
power that you get from it, or the success that you get from it, your fame, you know. I think that's how they look at it. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I see it from the outside.
Elon, come and let us know what you think about it.
Next episode?
Next episode.
Or sponsor us.
Honestly,
Oh,
we would take
yeah, shoot.
it.
SpaceX right here.
Right? It's an empty space right there.
Yeah, but on the I get what you guys are saying.
You disagree? Pushback-ish.
It's okay to
Push
okay
back
to
ish.
disagree.
I don't always push back. I'm just
Pushback-ish.
trying to think, you know. How do you grow, right, from having what you have? We talked about the value of gold, right? So when is there a stopping point? Because let's say he wants to go to moon and Mars, right? So what happens after Mars then?
That's what I'm saying.
We don't know.
There's,
You know? But why? Why do you need to you know, keep pushing yourself to that extent. Now, I get that human nature in general, we should be striving to
Overachieve.
overachieve and do more. But after a certain point, I mean, what is the use? Am I being too pessimistic?
No.
What do you think?
Honestly, I think on the whole Mars thing, and anybody that asks me, I
think that would be a great achievement. Don't get me wrong.
I think
you don't
bro,
think so.
Listen, God put us on this earth.
Stay on Earth.
Stay on Earth. There's a reason. There's a reason God didn't put us on Mars. Leave the Mars, leave the sun, the moon, all of that. Leave that alone. It's none of your business. We don't have no business there. Like, just stay where you are. You know. Because if you ask me, right? Okay, Elon is a billionaire or a zillionaire, whatever you want to call him. Very rich guy. I think all that money that he's spending to go to, Mars and all of that, don't get me wrong, cool. I'm all for the sciencey thing. But why can't you use that resources and stuff that you have to like help people in the current planet that you're on, There are people are like, oh, global warming, this, all of that. Okay, so do something about that. Why do you all, like, I want to ask him, Elon, I want to ask you, why are you always trying to go over there?
Come over here.
Come over here. But honestly, he's achieved a lot, more than anybody that we know of. So maybe the reason he keeps trying to go to other places because he feels like the ceiling of what he can provide or what he could get here on Earth is done. So he wants to.
Yeah, I think we strayed a little from the
did stray a little.
Well, what we learned today is, guys, stop trying to go to the moon. Karens, don't interrupt us. And it was me, Mustafa.
I've been Gigs.
And I've been Ismail.
And love and guidance, of course. Have a great day.